In the beginning, God made it all. Light and sky and ocean saw. Adam and Eve in the garden so grand. Sin came in, not part of God's plan. Oh, this is a great Bible story of God's love and His glory. From creation to forever, God's love holds us together. Noah and the big boat, Noah built the boat so wide. Animals came side by side, the rain came down, but God was true. The rainbow's promise shines for me and you. Oh, it's the great Bible story of God's love and His glory. From creation to forever, God's love holds us together. Oh, 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 oh. Abraham's promise. Look at the stars in the sky so high. Abraham trusted God's reply. His family grew just as God said, a blessing for the world ahead. David in the giant, a shepherd boy with a sling so small, faced a giant that made men crawl. With God's help, David stood tall. The giant fell and God won it all. Oh, it's the great Bible story of God's love and His glory. From creation to forever, God's love holds us together. Oh, 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 oh. Jesus was born on a starry night. Angels sang and the world grew bright. He healed, He loved, He made a way for us to be with Him someday. Cross and the tomb on the cross, Jesus paid the cost. 3 days later, death was lost. He rose again, the victory won. God's forever plan begun.
Hey kids! Today I'm going to tell you a fun and exciting story about Noah's Ark. Are you ready? Let's go. A long time ago, there was a kind man named Noah. One day, God told Noah to build a big boat called an ark. Why? Because a huge flood was coming. But don't worry, it's going to be an adventure. Noah and his family worked really hard to build the ark. They used lots of wood and made it super strong. Can you imagine building a giant boat? Wow! Once the ark was ready, God told Noah to gather 2 of every animal. That's right, 2 of every kind. Lions, tigers, bears, oh my, and even tiny little ants. They all marched into the ark in pairs. It was like a big happy parade. Now imagine being on a boat with all those animals. It must have been noisy and fun. The rain started to fall and it rained and rained for 40 days and 40 nights. The ark floated safely on the water, keeping everyone dry and snug. Finally the rain stopped and the sun came out. Yay! Noah sent out a dove to see if there was dry land. When the dove came back with an olive leaf, Noah knew it was safe to leave the ark. God put a beautiful rainbow in the sky as a promise that He'd never flood the earth again. Isn't that a wonderful story? Noah trusted God and saved all the animals, and the rainbow reminds us of God's promise. Thanks for listening, kids. See you next time for more fun stories. Bye-bye.
The Bible is a very special book. It tells us about God. The first part of the Bible is the book of Genesis. Genesis means beginning. It tells us how God made everything. In the beginning, everything was dark. God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. God separated the light from the darkness. He called the light day and the darkness night. That was the first day. On the second day, God made the sky. He separated the water above from the water below. On the third day, God gathered the water together. Dry land appeared. God called the dry land earth and the water seas. God also made plants and trees on the third day. On the fourth day, God made the sun, moon, and stars. He put them in the sky to give us light. On the fifth day, God made the fish in the sea and the birds in the air. He made all kinds of creatures that swim and fly. On the sixth day, God made the animals. He made all the animals that live on the land. Then God made something very special. He made people. God made people in His image. He gave them the responsibility to care for the earth and all the creatures in it. After working for 6 days, God rested on the seventh day. He blessed the seventh day and made it holy. God wants us to rest on the seventh day too. It's a special day to spend time with God and our families. Why did God rest on the seventh day? Because even God needs to rest.
The Old Testament gem, yeah. God's plan for everyone. Genesis, the world was made by God's own mighty hand. Adam and Eve, the ark with Noah, and Abraham's promised land. Exodus, the sea was split, God's people walked on through. In Leviticus, he taught his way for worship that is true. Yo, he's the king of all time. Yo, his love is divine. Through every book the story is clear. God's promises are always near. Our numbers brings us desert days, where trust was learned anew. In Deuteronomy, Moses taught God's laws to see them through. Joshua fought at Jericho, the walls came tumbling down. Judges rise like Samson strong, and God's love sticks around. So true, so true. David trusted, breakthrough. God's home, and the kings face trials alone and never die. Oh, he's the king of all time. Oh, his love is divine. Through every book the story is clear. God's promises are always near. Ezra built the temple strong, Nehemiah raised the wall. Brave Esther saved her people's lives. God's love was over all. Job kept faith when all seemed lost. Psalms sing praise and cheer. In Proverbs, wisdom lights the way. God's truth is always near. You come, Jeremiah, don't run. Lamentations, hold on. Ezekiel sees God's plans move on. So bold, Jonah learns that too. Micah's call, and God's strength is a must. Oh, he's the king of all time. Oh, his love is divine. Known from Genesis to Malachi, but God's saving plan will never die. Oh, he's the king of all time. Oh, his love is divine. Through every book his promise is clear. God's love for us is always near.
Noah was a righteous man, blameless among the people of his time, and he walked faithfully with God. 10 Noah had 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Now the earth was corrupt in God's sight and was full of violence. God saw how corrupt the earth had become, for all the people on earth had corrupted their ways. So God said to Noah, I am going to put an end to all people, for the earth is filled with violence because of them. I am surely going to destroy both them and the earth. So make yourself an ark of cypress wood, make rooms in it and coat it with pitch inside and out. This is how you are to build it. The ark is to be 300 cubits long, 50 cubits wide and 30 cubits high. Make a roof for it, leaving below the roof an opening 1 cubit high all around. Put a door in the side of the ark and make lower, middle and upper decks. I am going to bring floodwaters on the earth to destroy all life under the heavens, every creature that has the breath of life in it. Everything on earth will perish. But I will establish my covenant with you, and you will enter the ark, you and your sons and your wife and your sons' wives with you. You are to bring into the ark 2 of all living creatures, male and female, to keep them alive with you. 2 of every kind of bird, of every kind of animal and of every kind of creature that moves along the ground will come to you to be kept alive. You are to take every kind of food that is to be eaten and store it away as food for you and for them. Noah did everything just as God commanded him. For 40 days the flood kept coming on the earth, and as the waters increased they lifted the ark high above the earth. The waters rose and increased greatly on the earth, and the ark floated on the surface of the water. They rose greatly on the earth, and all the high mountains under the entire heavens were covered. The waters rose and covered the mountains to a depth of more than 15 cubits. After 40 days Noah opened a window he had made in the ark when the dove returned to him in the evening, there in its beak was a freshly plucked olive leaf. Then Noah knew that the water had receded from the earth. Then God said to Noah, "Come out of the ark, you and your wife and your sons and their wives. Bring out every kind of living creature that is with you, the birds, the animals, and all the creatures that move along the ground, so they can multiply on the earth and be fruitful and increase in number on it."
Why are there not more people talking about the magical journey of the wise men? I don't think people understand just how amazing it was. Let's find out together. Once upon a time in a faraway land, 3 wise men saw a bright star in the sky. This wasn't just any star, it was a special star. They knew it meant something wonderful was about to happen. So they packed their bags, hopped on their camels, and began a long journey. They traveled across deserts and mountains, all to find a newborn king. Can you imagine riding a camel for days? Talk about a bumpy ride. Finally, the wise men arrived in Jerusalem and asked, "Where is the one who has been born king of the Jews?" King Herod heard this and got very curious, maybe even a little worried. He called the wise men secretly and said, "Go and search carefully for the child. When you find him, report to me so that I too may go and worship him." But we know Herod and myrrh. Fancy gifts for a very special baby. In a dream, they were warned not to go back to Herod. So they took a different route home, keeping baby Jesus safe. And that, dear friends, is the magical journey of the wise men. Remember, sometimes following a special star can lead you to wonderful places.
Hi, this is Rich. Please subscribe and like so I can make more Bible story videos like this in the future.
Why are there not more people talking about the magical journey of the wise men? I don't think people understand just how amazing it was. Let's find out together. Once upon a time in a faraway land, 3 wise men saw a bright star in the sky. This wasn't just any star, it was a special star. They knew it meant something wonderful was about to happen. So they packed their bags, hopped on their camels, and began a long journey. They traveled across deserts and mountains, all to find a newborn king. Can you imagine riding a camel for days? Talk about a bumpy ride. Finally, the wise men arrived in Jerusalem and asked, "Where is the one who has been born king of the Jews?" King Herod heard this and got very curious, maybe even a little worried. He called the wise men secretly and said, "Go and search carefully for the child. When you find him, report to me so that I too may go and worship him." But we know Herod and myrrh. Fancy gifts for a very special baby. In a dream, they were warned not to go back to Herod. So they took a different route home, keeping baby Jesus safe. And that, dear friends, is the magical journey of the wise men. Remember, sometimes following a special star can lead you to wonderful places.
Hi, if you've made it this far, I thank you. Please subscribe and like.
A man had it all, a beautiful house, a fulfilling career. More money than he could ever spend, yet a persistent emptiness gnawed at his soul. He had climbed the ladder of success only to find it leaning against the wrong wall. The applause of the world seemed distant, hollow. The man felt like a ship lost at sea, adrift without an anchor. His heart yearned for something more, a depth his worldly possessions couldn't reach. A man embarked on a quest to fill the void within. He traveled to exotic destinations. He indulged in luxurious experiences. He delved into self-help books and motivational seminars. Each endeavor promised fulfillment, but ultimately left him emptier than before. The thrill of travel faded quickly. Material possessions lost their allure. The words of self-proclaimed gurus rang hollow in his ears. The man realized that true peace and happiness could not be found in external pursuits. He needed a transformation of the heart, a solace that went beyond the superficial. One ordinary afternoon, while strolling through a park, a man encountered an elderly gentleman named Gabriel. They struck up a conversation, and the man found himself pouring out his heart to this kind stranger. He spoke of his success, his emptiness, his fruitless search for peace. Gabriel listened patiently, his eyes filled with understanding. When the man was finished, Gabriel smiled and spoke softly. "My son, you've been searching in all the wrong places. True peace and fulfillment can only be found in Jesus Christ." The man was taken aback. He had always considered religion a crutch for the weak, a distraction from reality. Yet there was a sincerity in Gabriel's voice, a conviction that resonated with the man's weary soul. That night, the man hesitantly knelt beside his bed and uttered his first prayer in years. He asked for guidance, for peace, for the truth about this Jesus. Days later, Gabriel invited the man to church. The pastor's message about God's love, forgiveness, and the sacrifice of Jesus struck a chord deep within the man's being. He felt tears welling up in his eyes, tears he hadn't realized he was holding back for so long. In that moment, the man surrendered his life to Christ. He began reading the Bible, attending church regularly, and surrounding himself with other believers. The emptiness that had haunted him for so long gradually began to dissipate, replaced by a profound sense of peace, joy, and purpose. He discovered the unconditional love of a Savior who had been patiently waiting for him all along. The man's life was forever changed. He no longer sought fulfillment in worldly pursuits, but found true joy in serving others and sharing his newfound faith. The wanderer had finally found his way home, his redemption complete in the loving embrace of Jesus Christ. Heaven. It's a magical place that has fascinated people for a long time, and everyone imagines it a little differently. Today, let's explore some of these wonderful ideas. First, in many stories, heaven is a place of amazing beauty and peace. Imagine streets of gold, gates made of pearl, and walls covered with shiny jewels. It's a place where no one is ever sad or hurt, and everyone is always happy and together. Let's think about another idea. Here, heaven isn't a place you can touch, but a feeling of endless joy and love. Picture a space filled with light, love, and a big sense of peace and happiness. For some, heaven is like the most beautiful nature scene. Think of green fields, flowing rivers, and colorful flowers and animals. It's a paradise where everything in nature is perfect. Then, there's the idea of a special heaven just for you. In this vision, heaven is filled with your favorite things and activities. It's a place where you feel super happy and at home, a paradise made just for you. And of course, many stories talk about heaven as a place to be with friends and family. Imagine being with all your loved ones and being surrounded by a caring, loving community. It's a vision of heaven where friendships are strong and happy. In the end, what heaven looks like is very personal and depends on what we believe and dream about. So, what does your idea of heaven look like? If you're curious about a specific story or picture, let me know in the comments. Until next time, keep dreaming and having fun.